What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Teejay Talks, where I, Teejay, talk. Today, honey, first of all, I want to apologize, y'all, because it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I came and talked to you guys. A minute? Babes, it's been over a year. Okay, miss with the logistics. It's been over a year. Okay, it's been some time. I'm sorry, guys, but I promise I'm back. And today, I wanted to talk to you guys while I got ready for work and just share my thoughts on desperation, boundaries, comparison, and just a whole lot of. So stay tuned for the conversation. If you liked anything, like the video, comment, and just tell me how you guys are feeling down below. All right, thank you. What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? I'm getting ready for work and I decided to have a quick chat with y'all, if that's okay. That's okay, y'all wanna talk real quick? Today we're talking about desires and how desires can quickly turn into desperation, and that is a nasty road that you do not wanna walk down. So this conversation was actually sparked in my brain around Valentine's Day. I was reflecting and just, taking in all of the Valentine's Day content, seeing all the couples and, all of the things. And then I also was consuming the content of like the single side of TikTok where people were just like, I might just call him. I might just hit up that one guy that's been texting me for 3 years and I haven't responded. Like, you see those type of funny memes and they're hilarious. But I thought about how in certain moments we allow our desires to turn into desperation. Now, let's get some definitions going, right? According to the Webster's Dictionary, a desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Now, I believe we all have desires, and in my opinion, one of the fundamental building blocks of our goals are desires. We desire to have, a certain financial status. We desire to have a home. We may desire to have a certain job or to have a certain circle of friends. We all have many desires. And it's good, it's good to desire things and aspire for things and work towards them. However, I feel like when we allow our desires to turn into desperation and we lack the necessary internal boundaries and moral code that we need, things can get a little bit shaky, okay? So let me tell you why I say what I say. So circling back to the TikToks that I saw around Valentine's Day, much like many people, in love and in romantic relationships, I haven't really seen myself acting this way outside of that, but I'll reflect, and if I do, we can talk about that one day. I've seen how in romance, I allowed my desire for love in a romantic relationship quickly turned into desperation. And when it did turn into desperation, honey, there was a downfall. There was a downfall because I ended up getting into like this situationship that really probably wouldn't have happened if I wasn't so desperate, right? Like I probably would have still met the person and enjoyed their time, but I probably wouldn't have put up with the things that I put up with. I probably wouldn't have stayed as long as I did. But because I was so desperate and because I had this longing desire for a relationship, I pushed past my boundaries and allowed myself to stay and do things that I really didn't want to. So let's get into it, right? Like we mentioned, desires are all innate feelings that we have. It allows us to create goals. And after a certain amount of time of desiring something, we can sometimes get desperate. Now, for many people, desperation may not be a bad thing because desperation can go one or two ways, in my opinion. Desperation can either push you to work so hard or to go so hard to get what you want. Or, like I said, if you don't have boundaries or a moral code, or really both, it can push you to do things that could lead to irreparable damage. Hear me out. For example, someone may want a certain amount of money. They may feel like they actually need this certain amount of money or financial status, right? And they've been going to work, working 2-3 jobs, doing Uber Eats, just doing everything, yet they seem to never be able to get to that threshold that they desire. If they don't have boundaries and a moral code, they might go rob a bank because they're just like, or scam, or essentially just take it from someone else, right? And that's because they they desired this money so bad. They desired it so bad. They worked for it so bad. They longed for it for so long. And after a while, because they didn't have the moral code or the boundaries to stop themselves and say, you know what, no matter how bad I want this thing, I'm not going to allow myself to do that. Or no matter how bad I want this thing, I'm not going to act in this way. They didn't have that. So they was like, anything is anything, and I'm going to get what I need. And I feel like many of us, men and women, move that way in romantic situations, right? We've been single for 5, 6, 7 years. You really want a relationship, or for me, in my case, I feel like I never grew up receiving like that soft love, like, you know, the hugs, the kisses, the oh, you're so beautiful, all of that, right? I grew up in a Caribbean household where love was tough, right? And over time, I just attributed like soft love to relationships. Like, I truly only believe that the only place you could receive that type of huggy, kissy type of love was in relationships, when in reality, you can receive it in friendship settings, right? You can have sisterhoods who pour into you and give you that love. You can have parental love. You can have familial love. It's not only in romantic situations. However, me being full of desire and then turned desperate, I felt like, you know what? I'm gonna search for this love. I'm gonna search for this guy, right? So let me give you a little, not a story, but just give you some insight. So I go out and I start talking to guys, and like many women, I create my list guy, right? I'm like, this is what I want, because this is gonna give me what I desire. And I hit the town, I'm going out and I'm doing what I gotta do. I'm on the apps, and I meet this guy. And he was super nice. He was my list guy, to say the least. He was my list guy. He was checking things off of my list. However, at the time, I don't think he had the emotional capacity to show up for him in the way that I desired, right? So although he had all of the other things, all of the physical attributes, all of the, you know, he was fun, I enjoyed spending time with him and all of that, he didn't have the emotional capacity to love me. So in turn, I end up in a situationship, right? So now look how desperation has now cheated me out of my original desire. I desired a relationship, but I was so desperate for some type of love in a romantic setting that I settled for a situationship instead of going after what I wanted. And I feel like that happens to many people, right? You desire to have certain things, and after so long, you get like a little piece of it. It's like 1/10 of what you actually desire, and you're like, you know what, I need to hold on to this little piece, because before I had nothing and I've been working so hard just to get this little crumb. Like, let me hold on to this little crumb instead of dropping the crumb and going to get the whole cookie that I originally wanted. Put down the crumb and go get your actual cookie, because the cookie was your original and actual goal/desire. And now you're holding on to this crumb, and this crumb is not gonna satisfy you because it's a crumb when you desired a cookie. So yeah, I stay in this situationship, I pour into it, honey, I bent my back, I did so much for that relationship to work out, because I genuinely did like the person, I genuinely wanted it to work out. But after some time, I realized how much of myself had become compromised just for my desire of a relationship. And that wasn't gonna work, right? When you start sabotaging parts of yourself, when you start questioning parts of yourself that you never questioned, when you start bending and breaking, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with change, right? We all evolve and grow into different people and learn, and you know, we evolve. However, I'm talking about when you start breaking down your fundamental self, like the things about yourself that make you you, that you know, like this is what makes Teejay, this is what makes Jeremy, this is what makes Tisha, right? You know those things about yourself that are you. And once you start breaking down those parts of yourself to get, you know, love, money, fame, status, you have to really question whether or not you're stepping out of a place of desire or if you're stepping and walking in desperation. And like I said, that could be very detrimental, because now you're just moving. You're not even like, I don't even think you have your original goal in mind anymore. You're just like, I'm just trying to hold on to this. Because that's how I felt when I was moving in desperation. It was like, yeah, I wanted this, but I got this, and something is better than nothing. Desperation. That is the, I feel like once you start telling yourself something is better than nothing, and I'm not talking about in a place of, I'm not talking about when you're in a season of kind of like waiting or in transition, right? You see yourself growing, you kind of have to work with what you got until you can get what you want. I'm talking about you've been sitting in this situation and you know it's time to move on. You know this is not for me. Yet you sit there with the thought like, oh, but if I leave him, I'm gonna be alone. But if I leave this job, I'm gonna have to travel to work. I can't work from home anymore. You come up with the excuses to why you need to stay when you know full and well in yourself it's time to go. You're acting out of desperation. And it doesn't look good because you can like smell it. You can see it. Like, I feel like when someone's moving out of that desperate state, you can see it. Because there's certain things that the environment, I'm gonna say the environment because like I said, this could be relative to anything, work, relationships, school, whatever. I feel like sometimes the environment will pose or bring up certain situations that are supposed to force you out if it's not for you. But if you're so desperate for it, you will stay. You will stay and make an ass out of yourself. I'm so sorry to say it, but you will stay and make an ass out of yourself because this doesn't benefit you. You don't gain anything from this. You're simply staying in a situation because you're afraid of going back to where you started, or even you're afraid of what it looks like or what it feels like to be in the transition stage, right? The stage between you're not where you started, but you're not where you want to be. So you kind of just like, and most people don't like that, right? Because sometimes that's what being single feels like. You're working on yourself, you're investing in yourself, you're learning and growing, you're doing all of the things to improve yourself. And I don't want to say you're waiting for a partner because we're not really waiting for a partner, but you're doing all of the things to improve yourself. And it's just like, if you really, really desire one, it's like, damn, when my husband gonna come? When my wife gonna come? When my boyfriend gonna come? Whatever you're desiring for. And many people don't like that, especially when they see other people around them getting what they desire. Honey, we done straight off topic from talking about desire and desperation now. But anyway, we're talking about something else. Now we're talking about comparison, right? Because now we see the people around us. They're getting in relationships. They're getting married. They're getting engaged. And you sitting on Instagram like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Like, or you start to, I want to say many of us, but I'm going to say myself because some people are going to be like, oh, I don't do that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Anyways, like myself, you may start to look at it and be like, damn, like, how come I didn't get my $100,000 salary job yet? Or for some of us, we haven't even gotten the $50,000 job yet. Or why haven't I found my person, gotten engaged? I'm 26, 27, 28, and I haven't gotten what I wanted. Honey, don't do that. Because I think that's another thing that could lead you into desperation. Comparison? Because you was probably okay in your waiting season. You was probably okay learning and growing and pouring into yourself. And then you started watching people Instagram stories. You started watching them TikToks. Is he proposing today? Mm-hmm. Watch how I spend my $100,000 salary as a 23-year-old in San Francisco. You started watching those videos, right? And instead of getting inspired, you started comparing yourself. Bad, right? Because you're like, I'm smart too. I work hard too. Why I'm still working at Target with my master's degree, right? I'm talking to somebody. Because I felt that way. I've definitely felt that way. So we start comparing ourselves to what we see other people got going on. We start trying to figure out what we're doing wrong. Well, how come they got it? What they did wrong? You back on Indeed. You just got a new job and now you back on Indeed. Like you're really you're desperate at this point, trying to get out of your own situation to get in to something else. And it's just like sometimes you just have to wait in that transition phase. Sometimes you just have to stay in that waiting season. And I'm about to have a moment. If you believe in God, I believe in God. If you don't, you can go ahead and skip. Don't really bother me. In church on Sunday, one of the things that was discussed was that we try to get out of our hard seasons and don't realize how God is gonna bring glory to you and him, but really to him, because all things is for the glory of God, right? How God is gonna bring glory through that season where you're just feeling like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of feeling behind. I'm so tired of feeling like nothing's working out. I'm so tired of waiting. God is good. That's where he's gonna do one of his miracles, or one of his biggest miracles in your life, and show you like, yeah, this is why I had you waiting. I had you waiting because I was preparing this table for you. I wanted to make sure that everybody that worked in the building that I'm gonna put you in is gonna treat you right. So I had to get some people out of there and get some new people in there before I even brought you in. Like, you don't think about all of the things that are happening before you get into your season that needs to happen for that ground or that soil where you're going to be landed to be cultivated and ready for you. So once you hit it, it's just growth. Like, you don't need no fertilizer. You just growing, right? You're just exceeding and you're doing all of the things. And really, you're gonna be so surprised at yourself as to how much you do and learn and grow in those spaces when you wait. When you wait and don't allow your desires to turn into desperation. I'm gonna keep bringing it around to that fact because that's the topic today. The topic is, don't let your desires turn into desperation. And don't let comparison allow you to become desperate. Don't let lack of patience allow you to become desperate. Don't let it. Because I feel like many people may have other opinions that desperation is good because it gives you the hunger you need to move forward. But from my experience, if you don't have the boundaries, and I mean serious boundaries, because that's another thing. Sometimes people think boundaries are external factors or systems that we set up to protect ourselves from people or from things or from substances. But really, the most important boundaries that one has are the ones that they set with themselves. The ones that they say, you know what, I'm not going to allow myself to do this. I'm not going to allow myself to be into this type of situation, right? You set those boundaries up within yourself, right? You're not even putting it on someone else like, oh, I'm not gonna let them talk to me like this. I'm not gonna let them take my money. I'm not gonna let them. No, what about what you're going to do? What are you going to do? And I think that's one of the most important boundaries one has to set. It's like, I am not going to allow this. I am not going to allow myself to do that so that I don't get compromised. So yeah. Set your boundaries. I'm actually reading a book right now. It's called Boundaries. It's not in here. I'm not gonna go get up and get it, but I'll probably post a link in the bio. It's about boundaries, and I'm gonna wrap up here because we've been talking for a little bit, but it's about boundaries and how it's so important to set them, and the importance of the boundaries we have within ourselves. Like, yes, we can allow certain people to treat us certain ways. We can allow certain people to put us in certain situations. But if you don't even stop yourself from behaving and acting and moving in certain ways, how can you tell somebody else to do it? You don't even listen to yourself. You don't even honor your own word to yourself. How are you gonna expect other people to honor your word? Stink, come on. Be for real. So yeah, I'm sorry if this conversation was all over the place. Next time, I promise I'm probably gonna do a script so that I can stay on track. But it was just a conversation that came to mind that I really wanted to talk about and just hear your perspective on it. And please, in the comments down below, share your thoughts. Share your thoughts. And let me know what you think. If there's something that you didn't agree with, if something that you did agree with, let me know. I would take this time to apologize for any rambling or stuttering that I did, but I'm not going to. I will say though, I would ask you to give me grace because I'm new to this. This is not something that I normally do. It's my first real video back talking about a topic like this while getting ready. So I ask that you just give me grace, bear with me as I learn, and appreciate all of the phases of my learning season, right? Appreciate all of it. Because one day you're gonna look up and I'm gonna be doing so well. You're gonna be like, girl, I remember when she was sitting right in her grandmother's apartment making those videos. Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna finish getting ready for work. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you tune in for the next. Bye.